What is going on YouTube? 0088 here. I'm here with my sisters Kemi and Dara, and it's a little bit different today because they're all old and they can't be bothered to come here and gather here to review. What's with the face, Kemi? Why are you hating?
Because you're the one.
No, I'm joking.
Anyway,
go on. What are your thoughts on Black Panther 2? We've seen Black Panther 2 yesterday. Still kind of fresh. Barely talked about it. I want to talk about it. Was it better than the first one? Worse than the first one?
I think overall, I'd say it's not as good as the first one, but I think this one really did play on your emotions.
Definitely.
It was a more emotional film, which is why, in some ways, I think made it better than what it probably would have been.
Yeah.
If they, Chadwick hadn't passed away in real life.
Yeah, I think that. I was thinking that the film, it might, because Marvel, in my opinion, has been kind of mediocre the last few films, ever since Endgame, really. Even Endgame was a bit and it feels like if Chadwick was alive, they might have done just some more generic stuff, and I felt like they had to, as sad as it sounds, they had to up the levels a little bit because they had to pay tribute to him, They took it very seriously, and oh my god, that's probably one of the best part about this film was that they took it so seriously, and it wasn't jokey. They had a couple jokes here and there, but like I said, this film felt like almost like the early 2000s films, like the early 2000s superhero films, the tone.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Spider-Man 1, 2 and 3, how it wasn't just jokes constantly. And I feel like, especially after watching She-Hulk, I feel like Marvel has almost ruined me. They're just making me why are you doing this? I'm trying to get into your world, but you're not taking it seriously. So how do you expect me to take it seriously? And this film made me take it seriously. I enjoyed the storyline. Namor was okay, or Namor, or whatever. I didn't like his aesthetics, but the character felt like he was the character from the comics, the way he acts, his personality, his love for his people, the way he wants to defend Atlantis, or in this case Talokan, or whatever it's called. They changed all that up. They made them what are they called, Aztecs, Mexicans, or whatever. The backstory kind of made sense, apart from it was a bit funny how they come out of the water and their skin changes color. That was a bit. Did you notice that?
Yeah, when they first changed to blue, and then they went back in the water, she gave birth to him. Her skin almost looked normal in the water, which was interesting.
They
like human color.
Yeah, their skin changes color in the water. I didn't notice that till later. I don't know if all of them do that, because I swear. Oh yeah, because that bit where Shuri was, that wasn't underwater, was it? That was like in a weird bit of land that was blocking water from getting in. Underwater is weird. So when they're out of water, when the oxygen's hitting their skin turns blue, and when they're in water, their skin is like the normal color. And I feel like that was a creative choice, because they wanted to show this, if you're showing the culture of Mexicans, you better show their skin as well. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's why they pushed that in, But yeah, I don't know. I almost went in not wanting to hate it, but just I wasn't expecting much, because Marvel is really beating me down these last few films. It feels like they've been punishing me, and my expectations were so low because of all of that, especially because Chadwick wasn't going to be in it, and we don't know what's going to really happen. Obviously we had hints that Shuri was going to take up the mantle. Spoiler alert, this is a spoiler review, which she did. And we knew she was going to take up the mantle. We just didn't know if Letitia Wright could actually carry the film like that, because we haven't really seen her in much stuff. She was in Top Boy, and that was it really. But I think she did a good job. I feel like she proper stepped up,
Her and the mother were really good together.
Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright. I feel Letitia Wright, considering she had to carry the whole weight of the film and all the emotional weight of her brother in the movie dying, and Chadwick Boseman in real life dying, I felt like, damn, man, like she actually surprised me. I didn't know she could carry the, like, I was, by the end of the film, I was ready for her to, okay, you're the Black Panther, I can believe it, I believe it. And then they brought in T'Challa's son, like, I'm T'Challa. And they're like, oh, they're setting up for the future. They're setting up for the next 20 years.
Yeah, planted the seed there.
Yeah. If people didn't like Letitia Wright as Black Panther, they were setting up just in case. We'll age him up. We'll do Kang the Conqueror time bullshit and make him old or something. I don't know, some time travel shit. If you don't like Shuri as Black Panther, they set. I wonder if they did that because of the whole controversial anti-vax stuff. Remember when she was doing that?
Possibly.
Just in case.
Black Panther for long.
They're like, oh, she might be a liability. Let's just set this up just in case. Because, you know, if you're anti-vax, it's like you're not allowed to work in Hollywood or wherever else. I don't know, the politics and all that. Yeah, she surprised me. She was good.
Shuri herself, I like her in certain scenes, and then certain scenes I'm just like, I'm not going to lie. I said this to Dara a little earlier as well. Like, the film in general, I'm not going to lie, I did check out after Killmonger.
Really?
Because I think, I don't know where the film was going then. It seemed quite rushed, and I was a bit like, like, I didn't really I don't know, I just kind of just checked out. I don't know how to describe it, but everything that was happening on the screen, like, was just happening really fast. Like, then they were in the sea, and then she was, I don't know, it just had a massive transition between, like, what happened in the first half and what happened in the end. Do you know what I mean? Like, like Riri Williams flying around. Like, I was like, what's
don't get me started. We'll talk about Riri in a second. Don't get me started on her. Like, she just she was one of her. And I like Martin Freeman's character, and his character is supposed to be there, like, because his name's Everett Ross, and he's like part of the Black Panther universe in the comics, you know. But he just didn't feel needed in this. He wasn't utilized properly, and his wife, or I didn't understand, was that his wife, or I know she was in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, married.
Yeah, so like them three, Riri Williams, Martin Freeman, and that woman, just felt tacked on. They didn't feel needed. It felt like they were like setting stuff up for different shows and movies, those characters, you know. It didn't feel like they were about this movie, you know. It felt unnecessary and dragged the film out even longer, you know. But yeah, I see what you're saying, Kemi. It's like, it felt a bit rushed even though I love Killmonger's scene, I thought he did a really good job. But it was shocking. Yeah, it was a weird scene. Like, we all expected her to see Ramonda, Angela Bassett's character, didn't we? We all thought you were going to... And I like the twist that we didn't see her. We were like, oh, what's going on here? And I really thought they were going to do this thing where Killmonger's turned good and he's going to teach her to do the ways. And it felt a bit... that's cheap, because, you know, we were supposed to actually see T'Challa here, but for obvious reasons we can't see T'Challa, so you're going to put Killmonger here instead and make him say words of advice. But I'm so glad they made him say, like, kind of more evilly stuff, like, made her more angry and vicious, and I'm glad they did that, you know. Or it could have been some stupid, he's a good man now and he's going to say what T'Challa would have said. That's just lame. But I'm glad they stuck to the character, and I appreciate
I'm glad
that.
they did that as well. She chose the yellow outfit too.
Yeah, she chose his golden, you know, thing that Killmonger wears, rather than the traditional purple or the white one that T'Challa wears, which is interesting. Before we get into more of the bad stuff, I got to talk about the music. Like, obviously, us being Nigerians and listening to Afro beats and stuff like that, hearing Burna Boy come, like when Riri, that's probably the best scene Riri was in, when she was building the stuff with Shuri and Burna Boy was playing in the background. That bit was just sick. Yeah, that bit was just live. Like, listen to the music. It was weird how they mixed Stormzy in with Burna Boy, because I think those are two different songs. But yeah, but that bit was really good. Like, remember when I told you before, like, I bet they're going to play that Burna Boy song for 2 seconds. They played it for like a solid minute or so, didn't they? Like 2 minutes, which was cool. But yeah, the music is so good. The funeral, because we recently came from our grandma's funeral, that was in July, and the similarities was kind of wild, like this, you know, celebrating of life rather than everybody being, you know, really depressed and stuff like that, and the dancing and the outfits, and it proper reminded me of going to my grandma's funeral, and that was a really cool scene like that at the beginning, you know, and emotional but true to life scene. And I bet a lot of people that don't understand Nigerian African culture might have been like, why are they dancing? You know, I was just thinking like some people probably don't even understand why they're dancing like in a funeral and stuff like that, but that's African culture. They're true to it.
The same thing to my colleagues as well.
Like, and the way they were wearing white, you know, all that stuff, you know, it's really good. Would you say, Dad, I can't hear you, your voice is like not coming out?
Sorry, I think it's really laggy my side. If I speak over you, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's like you speak. I think your camera's like slower than your voice.
The beauty of the underwater city.
Yeah.
I really loved how they captured that beauty in it. And also, Wakanda, as usual, always looks amazing.
Yeah.
And the music along with that.
Of course, the aesthetics of Wakanda, the way the clothes are, they just go out of their way to make the clothing just amazing. And, you know, just seeing Wakanda with the Afrofuturism, the technology mixed with kind of the tribal stuff, and it's just so sick, you know. They do so good with that. I wish we saw a bit more of Talokan, the underwater world. It's just people coming in doing Kamehamehas and that. Unless I don't know if I've just been super culturally insensitive there. I don't know what that means, but it might be something proper.
Oh yeah, I really thought that as well.
I just thought this was kind of like a pearl because they're underwater. That's pearl, like the clown.
Is that what that is? What is that? Is that, I don't know. Maybe we're being really ignorant right now, and it's some proper Mexican.
I thought it was cool.
yeah. But that's all. I'm just saying that is cool. But that's all we saw of really like we saw them swimming around and stuff. But it felt like we need to see more of how they live or more of the world building. But the film was already too long.
Yeah. It's insane because when you introduce so many new characters and even a whole new nation, it's going to be quite hard to get that
whole army
in one film.
One cool thing I liked about the Talokan, or Atlanteans as they're supposed to be called in the comics, I liked how when they sing and they just mind controls people. That had a very eerie, creepy vibe to it, really cool. With the music, and people can't control themselves, and that was like really creepy and cool. And I think that comes from like the sirens, the mermaids, his stories, and if you wanted to, you could kind of say, oh, maybe this is where they got the stories from, because in the MCU, all the myths and legends are kind of true, just misinterpreted, like Thor and Loki and things like that, you know. So I thought that was kind of clever. I thought that was pretty cool. And you're right. It's like you can't really get all of the backstory of Namor when it's not really focused on him. Maybe he needs his own movie or whatever, you know. But I thought he was a good bad guy. I liked that he was not just a generic villain that just wanted to rule the world. I mean, he did kind of he wanted revenge, if anything. But the way they went about it was that he's just a man that cares about his people, and that he wants to make Shuri and Wakanda understand that these are the enemies, and he wants to work with them, and he's not just some psycho murderer.
I was just saying, even when he was talking to Shuri, and they were trying to get some understanding, that when she was in his world and everything, like a part of me was just like, obviously he wants to protect his people and everything that they've built, and is completely understandable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think he has any interest in, even at that point, in being with Wakanda and like doing it together. You know what I mean? Like all he cared about was what was happening for him, which is fair enough. It's his world and everything, but it just seemed a bit misleading. Like he was like, us and the Wakandans, we can come together and da da da, and it's like you don't care about that. I don't think he cared about that as much as he was trying to
make out. Yeah. Especially at the end, you kind of realize he's a bit of a little finger from Game of Thrones kind of snake kind of character. It's like, look, like at the end of the day, Wakanda's strong, but they're gonna be attacked by the Americans, because they don't know about us. They think we attack them. They think they attacked them when we did it, and they're gonna attack them. They'll be forced to come to us. That's like, damn, man, that's some sneaky chess tactics. Namor is still at it again, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I like the ending that he wasn't. Yeah, he's definitely a villain, but he's not. He's like an anti-villain, maybe. You know, someone that's a villain but isn't just evil, you know. He's not just evil. He just does things in a non-moralistic way, if that makes sense, you know.
I really liked his character.
Or Namor. Or it's supposed to be Namor, but everyone says Namor.
Oh, you're so laggy.
Turn your camera off and on for a second, or off for a bit and then turn it back on. Even though we loved all the costumes and stuff like that, the only thing I wasn't really liking was Riri's Iron Man costume, which looks a bit weird, and Okoye. I liked Okoye's costume. I like when they came in, Okoye and that other chick, but at the end when she saved Ross, I was like, oh, actually that costume is kind of ugly. It was like some weird, some Sector and Cyrax Predator shit from from Mortal Kombat.
It was funny because Okoye kept making fun of them, but they were actually not very. Why were they designed like that? Why did she design them like that? She could have designed them so much cooler.
Maybe it's something from the comics that we don't know, I haven't seen or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, they kind of looked somewhat cool in action, but I don't think the CGI on them helped that much either. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but it was so bad. There was a slow motion shot of her jumping.
Yeah.
And you could see it if you were looking at her feet at the bottom. It was like she was lagging. I was looking at the bottom of the jumping as she was jumping. I was looking at the bottom of her feet, and you can see just like, if I wish I could show you the action, but it was like she was lagging as she was jumping. It was weird. So bad. Even the CGI on Shuri's Wakanda Black Panther outfit was bad as well. It looked really rushed.
Well, one of the worst parts about her outfit was when she got stabbed near the end, and then it wasn't really about her outfit, but when she pulled off and then there was like no blood or anything, I was like, okay, I know it's Disney, but
I don't know how that works.
What'd you say, Kemi?
I thought maybe it was about the suit, so like
she healed
it forms back. So the inside, like her internal, like basically if she took the suit off, you'd see the cut, but because it came off, but
there was no blood on the pole either, right?
Yeah.
There was no blood on the pole either, right?
No, there was nothing there.
That's some weird healing. If there should at least be blood on the pole, but even if a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe it's Disney. But yeah, the suit, like Okoye's suit, is mad. Like I think the suit at the end, that is. I think if it's like something from the comics, then I appreciate them trying to be accurate. If that's what it looks like in the comics, I don't know. I'm just guessing. But otherwise, it was just funny to me how Okoye is saying how trash it looks. Almost like when films do that thing where they're aware of how bad something is, so they try to make it obvious to the audience that, look, we know it sucks. But because they're saying that, it means suddenly it's okay because they've acknowledged that it's bad. It doesn't matter though; it's still bad. It's still bad. But yeah, I just wanted to say one thing about Namor before we move on to the next part. Actually, this is more or less the next part until we move on to Okoye. But yeah, I just appreciated how close Namor was to the comics. In fact, they even did one little plot point that I read about. I mean, this whole storyline is from one of the recent comics where Black Panda? That's a different hero. Where Black Panther and Wakanda go against Namor and Atlantis or whatever, and there's like a big war. So this does happen in the comics, like in the later comics, but in the earlier 1960s comics, Namor has a big beef with the Fantastic Four, right? And he wants to bring all his blue Atlanteans, just like in the film, to take over Earth and to get revenge on the surface land. And he ends up going head to head with the Fantastic Four, and he ends up having a crush on Sue Storm. and he takes Sue Storm and kidnaps her and takes her to his Atlantis underwater world and shows her how beautiful it is, just the same way he showed Shuri how beautiful it is and whatnot. And he was trying to kind of woo her in a way. And there was like a little bit of a love triangle between Reed, Namor, and Sue Storm, you know? And I thought it really reminded me of that, and I just appreciated that they did those little elements from the comics, which made me, despite how he doesn't have Namor's awesome eyebrows, and he's got this, huh?
Somewhat. His child version somewhat did.
Yeah, the kid version looked more like the comic Namor than the actual grown Namor. It would have helped if he shaved his beard. His beard just wasn't it. Like his patchy beard and that, he needs to get rid of that because Namor is supposed to be like clean shaven, regal, you know.
I like a beard.
Yeah, not his one though. Like he needs to shave it, get them the eyebrows in there as well. But the race change and the culture change, I'm okay with it as long as it still sort of feels like the character, and I feel like they accomplished that with the whole mutant thing. Yeah, one of the scenes that really got me, this is the next part. Everyone talks about Angela Bassett's performance when she was like really upset that Shuri got kidnapped. Like she was really, like, it was really great performance. But for me, I just call her Michonne. But for me, Okoye, Michonne, like I really felt a little bit emotional when she was getting fired, you know?
Yeah,
like
that was... I didn't want that to happen, and it just felt. I was always like, "Why is she even doing that? How could she do that?"
Yeah, because she feels like she works the hardest for Wakanda. You know what I mean? Doesn't it?
Yeah, man. I was quite annoyed at that scene at the Queen for choosing to do that. I know it's her daughter, and the princess has been taken, and her son has just passed away. But why would you fire the one person who,
because it was
her?
That she's so angry. That person was the one that lost her in the first place. Was the one that convinced the Queen, look, I'll look out for her. I'll watch out for her.
Yeah.
But you're right. She shouldn't have fired her. So
that bit was getting me. Like the way she was, I was like, okay, I'm feeling this performance, man. I wish I could see. I wish I could see Michonne Okoye. What's her real name? Denai. I wish I could see her in other stuff. Like she's obviously Walking Dead and this, but I don't really see her in other things. Like she's a really good actress.
Yeah, she's a very good actress, actually.
Yeah, she's really good in this, and she feels believable when she's fighting. Like you know, they all do. You know, the power of black women.
That woman, that woman actually scares me in a good way. Like I don't know if I want to be her. I don't know if I want her. Like it's different. Like that woman, I don't know her name, but it kind of looked like at the end that she's like in a relationship with the one that liked the daggers.
Yeah,
you know who she is, right?
Was she in Civil War? No. Who is she?
Which one?
Quite a lot of stuff. The British one.
Yeah, the British.
Oh, she's British. I thought I could almost hear it, even though especially in an African accent. I know the African accent they do in Wakanda is kind of like a weird regal English plus African, but that's how they sound in the cartoons and stuff as well. And I guess what they wanted them to sound like in the comics. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The woman that was sitting down, she says, "Thank you, my love."
Oh, I was thinking of her.
Yeah.
The one that was sitting down.
She has this intense look, even when she was doing interviews. Like when they're interviewing her for the film and letting her, asking her what she thought and everything, just the way that she has this intense look. I don't know. She's just incredible.
Yeah, interesting. I thought you were talking about the other one, the one that actually kissed her head.
No.
That's who I thought you were talking about. I think.
No, not her.
I have to check. But yeah, speaking of which, I really enjoyed the female focus in this. Not just because they're female or black or whatever, but because they did it right. Because it was, it wasn't I guess She-Hulk is kind of female focused, but then they do this thing where they want to attack men and say, oh, men are bad and they do this and they ruin our lives in this way, and it's just boring. But this one, and then they don't really have any interest in things about them. They don't have many flaws, and if they do have flaws, they don't highlight them. In fact, they use that as an excuse to blame men or someone else, you know, the flaws that they do have. But in this, they have flaws that they need to overcome. They have hardships. Okoye doesn't just beat the crap out of the Atlanteans. I thought, oh no, she beat them all up easy. But then they will come back up, and and Shuri gets captured, and Okoye gets fired. I'm like, oh my God, they're going through hardships. Queen Ramonda dies, and I was like, no, they're actually putting stakes on this thing. Like, that's when it woke me up, and I was like, okay, this ain't just any generic Marvel film. This is one of the good ones, I think, because go on. Because like one of the main characters, a very important character, died to push to push Shuri, you know. And I was like, wow, they're actually not pulling punches on this one, you know. Like Riri should have probably died with her, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm joking. But yeah. So what did you think about that? Like the female characters, the representation of the women, and the women kind of, you know, taking charge, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think they did it really well. Like, it just doesn't feel forced, like in most films these days. It feels really natural. The only exception I'd probably say is maybe Riri's character, but maybe we just need a bit more character development there. Yeah,
Riri's character. In fact, we can move on to that. Kemi, do you have anything to say about the women? Like, what did you think about the female characters?
All I was going to say is that there was a scene, you know, when obviously they're getting chased on that bridge just before Shuri gets captured, you know, Okoye has that fight with the Seaman.
Yeah.
Basically. But I was just thinking, like, at that particular moment, that scene was predominantly women, that they were fighting, but you didn't think about it. I mean, I thought about it for a second because I was like, oh, yeah. But it wasn't, like, overpowering, like...
Yeah, it felt natural.
Black women that are fighting right now, pay attention to them. They're cool. Like,
it just felt like this is what needs to happen. It's part of the plot. It's part of the story, and they just happen to be badass black women. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's what I like, and they're doing.
That's how it's done.
Really good.
It was really good. But yeah, you know, I was saying that one of the best parts, in fact, probably the number one thing that made me enjoy this movie was how serious they took it. Like, as soon as they come to America, that shit went out the window. It felt like a generic, all the Riri Williams stuff, coming to America to recruit her or whatnot, and even a little bit of the Everett Ross stuff. It felt like back to generic Marvel movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I hate that.
I hated all that scene. And it was just like, oh, this is what I don't want. This is what makes me want to check out of Marvel, because I want you to take this shit seriously, and then I can get into the story, get into the plot, get into the stakes, you know? That's what made the whole Infinity Saga interesting. There was jokes here and there, but there was serious moments too, especially with the Captain America films. Like, I guess you had the joke side of Tony and the serious side of Captain America, you know? And those are two of the heads of the MCU, but they don't really have that now. But yeah, Riri was like, I think my biggest issue with her was, like, she's using Stark tech, she's using all this Tony Stark stuff and Iron Man suit and all this stuff in the comics. Even the comics, she sucks in the comics as well, but at least in the comics, she, you know, they make it clear she likes Tony Stark, she's a fan of him, and he's like her inspiration, though the way they wrote it was a bit off key. In the comics, he's her inspiration because some teacher said that she can never be like him or something like that, rather than just finding him a genuine inspiration. But yeah, in the film, like, she's got all this Tony Stark stuff, but she never references him. I mean, Okoye says this is Stark tech, and that's it. Like, why you got Stark tech or something like that? And she doesn't even answer her. I don't know if it was a question. And
I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, and I'm like, they should have done like a little tribute to Tony by having her talk about Tony and how she feels about him or something, and then it'll make you believe her using all his stuff, using all his, like, her taking over from him. Like, if you're gonna, that's why Shuri was good taken over from T'Challa, because obviously there's so much stuff about T'Challa in this, and so much stuff about how she loves her brother, how he's the Black Panther, and how she's got to step up and take the mantle from him, you know. And it made you believe in Shuri when she did it. But with Riri, there's nothing about Tony at all, just that her dad is a mechanic, so that means so that means I'm a genius. And then
built her first thing at first machine at 3 years old because
she literally stole all of Tony Stark's storylines. Built her first thing at 3 years old. Do you remember that thing from Iron Man 1?
I knew I recognised that somewhere.
She was pounding with a hammer. I thought she was wearing a vest.
That is really annoying.
She even flew up into the sky, and there was like the icing problem and all that stuff. Like
exactly that as well. There's just too many scenes that they're just trying to reference to Tony Stark.
Exactly, and then not say one thing.
Yeah,
one thing. Stark. Yes, Shuri said about the. Oh, is this Stark tech?
Yeah, that's Okoye said that. Not even Riri. Okoye said it.
Yeah, that was only reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Tony Stark's her dad, and they're trying to keep it like
keep it low. Keep it low. It's just so. It's just so like everyone loves to talk about cultural appropriation and all that, and she literally appropriated all of his stuff, all of his storylines, all of his moments, and doesn't even reference him for a second. I'm
Why
like, come on,
do that? That was really frustrating to watch, and I thought, oh god, I just felt like it was cringe when they did all those scenes, the hammer thing and the going up into the sky and coming down.
And you got to imagine for the people that don't know who Riri Williams is, because there are a lot of people that don't know about the recent comics where she shows up in. Like, they don't know who the hell she is, so they just think she's just some character coming. They're like, who's this chick that just suddenly uses all of Iron Man's iconography and all of his story bits and all of his, gear and all his items and stuff? Like, and she doesn't even have any connection to him. Oh, she goes to MIT? What? I'm so confused.
Do you think that they're like not saying anything for when she gets her film or TV show? Then
maybe
like they're keeping it under wraps or something for some reason.
I think so. I hope so anyway. I hope that's the reason. But at the very least, have her say something like, Tony Stark's my idol or something. That's all you had to have her say, that would just fix a lot of things, a lot of issues with her. But she feels like at the moment is it a MacGuffin? Yeah, she's just like a human MacGuffin with Tony Stark iconography, and she's not really a character. She just everyone had motivations in this film. Like the Queen was passionate about T'Challa, and she wanted to get her daughter back, and she had the responsibilities of controlling Wakanda, and she had to talk to the UN or whatever else and sort all that stuff out. Okoye had that beef with that big blue man, and she was like, had a little bit of like I want to overcome that difficulty I had of being able to beat him. She got stripped of all her titles and everything like that, and she lost her job, and she wanted to get that back and prove herself again. Shuri had the biggest storyline. Obviously she's the main character. She had to like live up to T'Challa's legacy. She had to overcome her grief of losing her brother and then her mother as well. All these characters had something going on, like and Riri, who's basically one of the main characters, there was nothing really going on. She was just kind of forced into the story, and we didn't really have any backstory. Like, and my dad's car. Like, no one cares about your dad's Mustang.
Like the scene right at the end when she's like, before he and they both had that look. I was like, I don't give a shit. Right?
Yeah, I know. And then Shuri's at the end. She was
hard to make her important. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want
to say okay.
One thing real quick. They tried so hard to make her an important character. When you feel like someone's an important character on your screen, you feel like you need to give them a certain kind of attention.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was doing that, and nothing was given back to me.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. She wasn't there. And the way she was acting, I guess I didn't really like the hoodness. It was okay. I mean, the one thing I like about how hood she was acting was because I like the idea that someone that's a bit ghetto and hood can be super intelligent. I thought that was interesting. Like, she doesn't have to be a nerd to be super intelligent. Like Tony Stark, that's what Tony Stark basically is. He's like really cool, slick, playboy, but he's also super intelligent. You don't really get that. Most super intelligent characters are just nerdy and very socially inept, where Tony Stark's the opposite. And I guess Riri's similar. Like, most black characters are super nerdy, that are intelligent are super nerdy, but she's like kind of hood and
That's
street.
Exactly why I didn't hate on it that much as well.
Yeah.
It was a bit off off, but
it's off-putting, but it's different. It's you can't say it's not different and new, you know. Even though I don't really like that personality, it's kind of cliche, but they added the element of her being super intelligent, which changes it a little bit. So I guess I can't hate on her being like a ghetto girl too much, you know. I don't know if she's even ghetto like that in the comics. I don't think she is, but I guess they added that for the movies or something. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that one. But yeah, Riri didn't hit for me, and I think they did her badly in this. They should have really made her like at least a fan of Tony Stark, just to explain why she has all this gear and, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit of more character development there.
Yeah, a little bit more character development, pretty much. I didn't get the ending where she was like, "I can't let you take that suit." Like, I thought she made that. She made that suit in Wakanda, innit?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was made in Wakanda.
Things, that's probably why, and who knows.
Why does she have an arc reactor? All they said is this is Stark tech. Yeah, she did. That's how she was flying that suit in the. That's why that police officer was like, "That's an Iron Man suit," or whatever. Remember?
Maybe she created it.
No, that's why Okoye is like Stark tech, and then they just moved on. So you're right, Dara. There's definitely gonna, in her TV show, they're definitely gonna explain all of that. Yeah, they're definitely. Oh, Kemi said that. Sorry, they're definitely gonna explain that in her TV show. That's the
thing. Like, I thought, even if they do that, it's just bringing that out first without any explanation just seems a bit, you can't enjoy the film when you don't know anything in that moment.
Yeah.
Even if they will explain it later, I just feel like that should be explained first.
And I don't think I'm going to be interested to watch Ironheart, if I'm honest. I mean, maybe it could be sick, but I'm not really feeling it. And her suit, and maybe she'll have a different suit in the actual show, but her Wakanda suit was a bit so I don't know.
Yeah,
some other... No, I was going to change the subject. Actually. Well, I was just going to say some other negative points some quick points I wanted to make about the storyline as well. Is just how hasty I felt Nakia was.
Oh yeah.
Those
the Talokan.
Yeah, Talokan.
Is it Talokan?
Like you said before, at first Okoye, they were using like non-lethal rounds, even with the French army at the beginning, and then when Okoye was facing them, the Talokans, I think it's Talokans. But then when Nakia went to go save the princess, she just shot them. She doesn't even know anything about them. I know the princess has been taken, but clearly she hasn't been hurt or anything. They've been taking care of her, and they weren't even fighters. Why did she kill them? And that just set everything off. And I just felt like the story was kind of almost forced in that way, because it
didn't even feel like it was much of Nakia's character to do that.
Yeah, it seemed really off to me, and that frustrated me. Along with
no, go on. Along
with the story in general, like it's just that cliche story of, oh God, you're not going to help me, so I'm going to fight you instead. Even though they know for a fact that they should like join forces, really, or just at least support each other. But I know that also this was meant to be a story fueled on hatred and revenge as well. So I guess that's the point. But it's just annoying to watch.
Yeah, it felt like a forced plot point to just get the story moving and to change the character from what we already know of her. Like, I mean, in the comics, she's like an assassin.
Yeah.
But we don't know that properly in the films. They sort of say it in the first Black Panther film, but you're not really sure what she does, And all you've ever seen was her be a good person and be a savior. Like, she was saving all those girls from being, adopted in the first film. And like, she was asking Black Panther to help with other African countries and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can see she's like an outreach person that likes to help people that are suffering.
Yeah.
So it feels weird. It feels weird her just attacking another nation and, not having much care about it, What was you saying? Abaku?
What's his name? M'Baku? I can't remember.
M'Baku, yeah.
Yeah, he did refer to her as a spy, but that was probably it.
Yeah, that's all you get. You don't really get the fact that she's, like, in the comics, I think she tries to assassinate T'Challa at one point, I think. Yeah. But yeah, speaking of M'Baku, I thought he was really good. I thought he was like funny without being overbearing. He was serious when he needed to be serious. He had probably one of the best lines in the movie where like Shuri says, "Oh, I thought I was just a child to you. I thought I was just a little girl to you, you know?" And then M'Baku was like, "The amount of stuff that you've lost, you can't be a child." You know, I think I butchered that.
Yeah, that was really deep.
You know, that was such a good line, you know? And yeah, like, and usually in Marvel, this is why I love this film, because there's the seriousness. Like, I've been punished so much with all the stupid comedy and is not taking it seriously by Marvel. Just like M'Baku, normally in a film like this, in a Marvel film, when Shuri says that, M'Baku will say some stupid line. Like, it will just make a joke and say, sometimes kids can be, I don't know. I can't think of a stupid Marvel joke right now off the top of my head. But I'm glad they said a serious line there. And it was probably one of the best lines in the whole film, ironically, rather than some stupid joke that they could have made M'Baku say, you know. So I thought that was
such a true statement as well.
Yeah, and it made you believe why would M'Baku treat her as queen, or as the Black Panther, the new Black Panther. Why someone as proud as him and probably a little bit sexist as him would accept this girl after, because I've seen what you've lost. I have to accept you, you know? You know? And that was such a good line. Yeah, he was really good in this film. I liked M'Baku in this. And I thought the action scenes were pretty good. Any thoughts you guys had, extra thoughts you guys had on M'Baku? What happened to your camera, Kemi?
I had to turn it off. It was just a bit fuzzy.
Okay, good.
Might have to wrap up soon, is it?
Yeah, it'll probably come into the end now.
Overall, I'd say is a good film, very emotional film.
Yeah.
Scenes with T'Challa, Chadwick, were so intense because it was just silence, and then him, you know, the montage of, you know, clips of him in the previous film, and
Agreed.
You can see, I feel like they played, or Shuri played her emotions very well in those scenes. Storyline could have been a bit less cliche, but understandable when you introduce a new nation and new characters like that. But yeah, overall really good, I'd say.
Kemi, your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think the film was beautiful. I think the love for Chadwick was insane, and the silence, you know, at the beginning of the film, at the end, when Shuri was burning her ceremonial clothes, like, that just hit me hard, and I was like, oh, can't deal with this. A lot, very emotional, and it was done really well. You know, there were, obviously we've discussed all the negative points, but it was done really well. Like, Ryan Coogler is an incredible
He's a great director, yeah.
Yeah, he is.
These kind of films. Think about all the Marvel films we've seen that have just like not hit, and you're like, oh, like, come on. But this one, like, they did really well, and he was focused. Yes, there was some rough bits, but he was focused. But yeah, overall, good film. You know, I'll give it an 8.5.
8.5.
Wow.
Good. My final thoughts. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I didn't expect too much, but I think it exceeded my expectations. I thought the tribute to Chadwick was beautiful and profound and kind of touching, you know, and it wasn't too over the top. It felt good, you know. It felt respectful as well, and I thought the story was interesting. I thought they did the best with what they had with the characters and stuff and the time that they had. I thought Namor was done justice in terms of his personality. I feel like his look could have been a lot better and a bit more accurate, and I kind of wish they were a bit more accurate with just the whole Atlantean thing, but I see what they're trying to do with the culture thing, you know, trying to add the Aztecian Mexican culture in. Fair enough if that's what you want to do, but at least they did the character right. And yeah, just overall, it was just a fun watch. It felt like a classic superhero film. It felt like they took it seriously. And that's the main thing. The main thing is the seriousness of the film for me. I think that elevated it so much. And it's not even something that I should praise a film for. I shouldn't really praise it for that. But because I've been beaten down so much by Marvel, this made me enjoy the film, how they took it seriously, you know. Despite all the flaws, like with the Riri characters and some of the dragging scenes, and some scenes were just a bit too draggy and long, overall, it was just interesting to watch, and I cared about the characters, and I cared about what I was watching, and I can't hate it. I just can't, like...
no, definitely can't hate it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
The only thing is, would I watch it again? We watched Black Panther 1 like 3 times in the cinema, didn't we?
That's what I thought as well. I was thinking about that this morning. Like, I don't think I would watch this again.
Yeah, I don't really feel I don't feel the urge to watch this again, really. And that's interesting. I don't know why that is. It might be because Marvel has punished, I keep saying it, Marvel has not really impressed me for the last few films and TV shows especially, and I just don't feel like delving into that universe and looking at all the intricacies and seeing extra scenes and looking at all this stuff, you know. I just don't feel invested as much as I used to. And I think that's why I enjoyed Black Panther 1 so much, to watch it multiple times, because I was invested in that world, you know.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm as invested as much now. And also, obviously, the African aesthetics, you know, us being Nigerian, there were so many things we could relate to in Black Panther 1, you know. I mean, obviously, they had that stuff in this as well, but I feel like maybe that novelty has gone a little bit. And now it's like, you got to tell us a really good story now, you know, rather than just showing us all the African culture and stuff. Well, you've seen that already in the first film. If you want to bring us back, you got to tell an epic story. And this story was just kind of, it was good, but it wasn't something that's going to keep bringing me back to watch more, you know. So yeah.
What's your rating?
My rating, I would say, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. That's
mine as well. 7.5.
Yeah, that's the rating. It was good. It was passable, and I enjoyed the characters. I feel like they did the characters justice. It wasn't woke, apart from they said colonizer a few times, but that's not a big deal. Colonizer, like, I guess, I mean, yeah, it's just a silly joke. I don't really see anything wrong or right with it. It's just there. But yeah, it's not really woke. They weren't trying to like say any big political modern day statements with it. It's just an entertaining movie with cool characters, except for Riri. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I can't say anything else really. Did you want to say something about the whole, if you want to talk about politics, or should we just leave that? I was going to say, did you want to talk about the whole forcing 2 colonized nations to fight each other thing? Or...
yeah.
Yeah, well, we've mentioned it now. So I'll just say, we thought it was interesting how they made 2 apparently colonized and hurt peoples fight each other against each other, but I have a feeling they're going to team up against the white man or the surface land at some point in future films. You know, probably. I don't know. They
do it in a reasonable way, not any drastic measures that Namor wanted. I thought that was just, why has he got to be so drastic?
Yeah, that's Namor. That's true to how he is in the comics. He's a drastic dude. He's like he's kind of like always plays the middle. If you read, that's why I like him, because they got his character right. He's very like, even though he becomes like a hero, I think he even joins the Avengers at one point, and he's part of the Illuminati, like in the comics. Like, he's the hero, but he's one of the, we got to deal with him kind of heroes, you know? He's like Vegeta, you know? He's like, he's that kind of character.
I liked about him. Like, he didn't seem bad, but he also wasn't really good either.
Yeah, he's like the Sasuke kind of character, you know? Anyway, that's our review. That's our thoughts. Any last words? Any other last words? We gave our ratings, 7.5. And Kemi gave 8.
8.
Yeah.
She gave 8.5.
Anyway, look, smile for the camera, guys. Do thumbnail.
Oh, what are you doing? You're the queen.
Does it look like that? Don't know how. It's probably really slow. Or should we do this one?
No.
Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. That's our long discussion review of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Peace.